Today's questioner asks, I want to declutter my apartment. How do I decide what things to throw away? Here are the simple guidelines I use. First, do you find it to be useful? The way you define this is going to vary from person to person. You might say that if you haven't touched it in 3 months, it isn't useful. You might draw a line if you can't think of any way you will use it in the next 3 months. Maybe you focus on 6 months or a year, depending on the seasonality of the item. Pick a guideline that works for you and stick to it. If you worry about possibly needing something in the future, use the 20-20 rule. I got this from 𝗲𝗶𝘀𝗀𝗲𝗀 and love it. If you can replace an item in under 20 minutes for less than $20, let it go. Feel free to adjust this rule based on your available time and financial resources. For example, you might use a 10-50 rule, 10 minutes and $50, or a 65 rule, 60 minutes and $5. Second, do you find it to be beautiful? Another way to look at this is, does it bring joy to your life? These are things we want around us not because they're practical or useful, but because each time we look at them, they bring up positive emotions. But simply knowing what to keep is only the first step in the process. If you've ever undertaken a whole home decluttering, you know it can quickly become so overwhelming. You just push everything back into closets, cupboards, into boxes in the basement and attic and give up. I've discovered a technique I love to help make the initial phase of decluttering feel more manageable. Take a photo of the space you want to start decluttering. Try to blow the photo up as large as possible on either a computer or your television. You'll find you start to notice items you've become so familiar with you don't see them anymore in real life. Begin to declutter based on what stands out to you in the photo as not belonging. I call this technique decluttering through the lens or decluttering through the camera. And because it doesn't involve pulling everything out at once and allows you to do a first pass with less stress, it's a great way to start your decluttering process. I'll link to a blog post in the show notes below with more details on this technique. Another place where decluttering can become overwhelming is figuring out what to do with everything you're ready to let go of. Before you start decluttering, make sure you have a plan for how you'll handle the items you decide no longer need to be in your life. I'll link to a blog post in the show notes below discussing how to get rid of everything you're decluttering. Remember, just because something no longer has a purpose or use in your home doesn't necessarily make it trash. Trying to find another home for it instead of tossing it into a dumpster is not only environmentally friendly, it can help you bring in a little extra money. So before you dive in and start to empty every drawer in your kitchen or every shelf in your home, make sure you have a plan for what you'll do with the stuff you get rid of. Work room by room, do an initial pass with the camera technique, and then dive into the rest. It might feel like more work to move through each of these steps, but by taking it in manageable pieces, you'll set yourself up for success instead of getting overwhelmed and giving up before you've even really started. I'm sending you a great big hug. You've got this. I hope you enjoyed this bit of solicited advice. Make sure you subscribe to my channel to be notified whenever I post new content.